Hey everybody, welcome back to Auto Scholar with Mr. B. I'm Mr. B. Today we have this 2010 Toyota Prius in, and it has a check engine light on. And from what I've heard from the customer, it has been shutting down on the side of the road. You have to wait a little while, turn it off, turn it back on, and it will start driving again. So brought it to my shop. We've done a lot of work on this car, and it is represented pretty well in the videos that I've posted in the past. So, if you're into Priuses, be sure to subscribe to the channel, and there's a whole Prius list, and this car is a big part of it. So I scanned the vehicle and found that it has a P261B code in it, which is for the main water pump. Now this car has two different cooling systems, one for the inverter that has an electric water pump, and one for the engine that has an electric water pump. So the engine electric water pump has set this code. And so basically what the car does is it monitors the electric water pump basically at idle or whenever it's being controlled by the computer, and it counts the RPM. And if the water pump falls below 900 RPM when it's monitoring it, it will set this code and it'll set the car off into almost a limp mode to where you can't drive it. And basically have to turn the car off, turn the car back on, and maybe the car will run, maybe it won't. But so we got the car, and the water pump on this is an electric water pump. It is pulse width modulated, controlled by the engine control module, so it can actually change speed, and that's pretty cool. These water pumps are pretty reliable. We don't really see them fail too much, and they're pretty easy to get to. I mean, this repair should really take you, less than an hour or so. Basic hand tools. I'm pretty sure you can get to it from just the top of the vehicle, so you don't even need to jack the vehicle up. And it's something that really anybody can do if they have a little bit of mechanical talent. So I want to take you over here to my mock-up, my Consulab Gen 3 Prius mock-up, and kind of show you where the water pump lives, because it's a little bit easier to do it on my mock-up versus my actual car, because it's kind of in a dark place. So let's go ahead and get that done. Okay, so here is my mock-up. I'm gonna go ahead and just zoom the camera in right there on the water pump, and you can see this is the cutaway of the water pump, and so you can see all the circuitry and everything in there. But it just takes 5 bolts to get this off the engine, and you have an air box you have to get out of the way, which I'll show you that here in a minute. And then it just comes off. It has a seal. Your water pump should come with a seal. I did get this water pump from the Toyota dealer, and it ranged about $300. And of course, I went ahead and picked up a gallon of the coolant for the water pump because you do have to drain the coolant out on this. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna pull the water pump, whatever coolant comes out, I'm just gonna catch it in the pan and then put new coolant in there. Also behind this water pump, you'll see that green segment right there is where your thermostat lives. Let me turn the camera around and I'll get a better shot of that. This is the side view. And so this green area right through here is where the water flows from. And you have your thermostat. You can see it in there, the silver spring in there. And you have 2 bolts, appear to be 10 millimeters. It's going to be like right there and right there. And you'll have to take those off to replace the thermostat. And if you have a 261A or a C or anything like that, I do recommend going ahead and replacing the thermostat, or even if you have the B, go ahead and replace the thermostat. And that way, for sure, you'll know that that area is taken care of and everything is going to be okay with this cooling system. So whenever I do anything more than just a basic oil change to these, I go ahead and pull the safety plug out on the vehicle. Camera there, and real easy on this car. You're just going to slide this and rock it out, and you want to keep this separate from the car. Make sure that nobody slides it back in there, and you can get on with the repair. Okay, so now we're underneath the hood, and here is where our water pump is. So you have this plug right here that might be able to unplug one-handed. There we go. And this is a 5-pin plug right here, and we'll just put this off to the side. And we have 5 bolts all the way around here that we are going to take out. And one thing I forgot to mention is you do have a airbox muffler right here, and you have a bolt that goes here, here, and right there that hold that airbox in, and you just want to get it out of the way, set it off to the side, and then everything is just right here. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get a drain pan, because once you take this out, all your coolant is going to come out of your system. You can drain the coolant out of the radiator before you do this, so you can do that as well. And then again, here's where your thermostat bolt, that's the top thermostat bolt. There's one underneath there. It's a little bit difficult to get to, but they're just 10mm deep wells for that. And let's go ahead and get these bolts out. Okay, so on the far side of this pump, where it screws directly through the timing cover, you'll have longer bolts right here, and on the other ways around, you'll have these shorter bolts right here. So just keep that in mind, not to get those mixed up. So once we got this unbolted, we'll be able to pull this out and see what we got. Looks like the seal still on there. So let's carry this over here to the table. And nothing really appears to be wrong with it, but apparently there's something if it's set in the code. So 5 bolts and a plug is all it takes to take this off. Go ahead and get the other one back on. So here's the old pump, here is the new pump. There's an ongoing joke about Toyota water pump gaskets, and this one is along those lines. So it does have you can put this in upside down, so be careful with that. But you're going to press this in, and you'll see there's a little tab right here. It goes right there, and that way you know you've got it on the right way. So we'll work this back in there, and we'll be ready to install. You don't need to put any sealant, any gasket maker, anything on this. This rubber seal is fine just the way it is. It fits in that slot. It has those tabs that holds it tight. And so just make sure that the area is clean before we put this in. So we're just going to wipe it down, maybe put a little brake cleaner on it, make sure no grit or anything gets in between the seal and the housing. But other than that, I mean, you want to look, if you pull your water pump off and it's seized up, which normally these will seize up, this one just looks like, it doesn't really look like it's that bad, but obviously there's something electronic that's causing a problem with the water pump circuit. So we're going to go ahead and replace it, and we'll be ready to go. Okay, so we got the new pump in. Just going to plug. Don't forget to put this plug in. And after that, all we're going to do is fill up the reservoir. Got to put the air horn piece in right here. And like I said, you just got a 10 here, here, and here. Remember, when you're tightening this up, don't go too deep. Don't go too tight on it. Make sure you have the bolts in the places where they came out of, because those back bolts and the bottom bolt are a little bit longer than the ones up front, because they go all the way through the timing cover. So just keep that in mind. And make sure that you know, after you run this vehicle for a while, to check the coolant level. Go ahead and clear your code out. Don't forget to also put in your service plug back in the trunk, and make sure it's clicked in good, or you'll get a code. And then we will be ready to put this thing on the road. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and zip this thing back together and take it out on the road. You definitely want to give this a good few miles before you really trust it to go back and forth with or commute with, and make sure that this code goes away, because again, if this code comes up, it does put the car in limp home. Make sure that this solves your problem, and it very well should. The B code right there is really just indicating that the pump is not performing like it should, and the pump is faulty. So if you like what you see here, just give me a like on this video, and of course subscribe to the channel. I have a lot of Prius content on Gen 2 and Gen 3 Prius. I also have a lot of other information that I put out on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, VK, that really has a lot to do with just automotive technology in general. I'm not a Prius YouTuber by any means, but I do have a lot of content, and I do have a lot of electric vehicle content, European car content. No telling what you'll find, because no telling what comes in this shop. So hopefully, your repair went well. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments. And we'll see you next time on Auto Scholar with Mr. B.